Alright guys, such comic again. I hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. A key storyline emerging going into Major 1 in Dallas. Falcons versus Paris certainly turned heads when the park the bus strategy was employed. Well, Sib gave his thoughts on what he intends to do to Falcons when he plays them on LAN. He says, yeah, that park the bus setup, it might have worked nicely online, but when we get to where the big boys play, that is going to be a very different story indeed. Sib says he's going to destroy that setup if Falcons try it again. Sib versus Pred continues to be a key talking point and could again, they match up at the major, given Falcons' recent resurgence. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I'd greatly appreciate it. Lots to get into. There's a couple of funny clips going around right now with Scrap and Kaysen. I feel kind of bad for Kaysen, right? Because you know when like you got a teammate who all he does is yap in your ear all the time, and then it makes you tweak and you're not playing as well and all this. So anyway, I just thought this is a couple of funny clips really. This was here on the raid, and you can see Scrap watches Kaysen in a 1 versus 1. He goes over towards the basketball court and then he smashes the glass, and Scrap's like, what are you doing? Because obviously he's heard that, and then he gets shot in the back. He might have lost it anyway with the way that he was playing, and then he roasts Kaysen, but then you look at the scoreboard and Scrap's actually lower than him on the scoreboard, which I thought was pretty funny. And then there was also this clip, which was, yeah, pretty brutal. Kaysen plants the bomb here on the Colossus. I do wonder if Colossus is going to stay in the map. Well, he plants it for that side, and then he runs over here, and then he's like, okay, well, let me wait a couple of seconds, turns around, and then checks the bomb, kind of, but obviously he can't actually see it from this angle, which is probably not the best way to play it, to be honest. He takes a risk, the other guys are going to ninja. That's exactly what he does. Scrap calls him useless. It's unfortunate. We go again. Now, we're going to talk about Pred. We're going to talk about Dante Sib in a second. Pred has been in some 8s. These are some of the key names that are playing 8s right now. I'd just like to keep an eye on who's grinding, really. And some players, they don't like to play 8s. Like Simp is really good at this game. I don't think there's any doubt about his level of play right now. But he's never really liked playing 8. So you're not going to see him in these lobbies more than likely, unless he's getting giga slammed, which he won't be, and then he needs to improve. But Drazah, Pred, Huke and Exceed, with Skies, ReeaL, Kremp and Abe on the other side. So I thought it was pretty interesting to see. Certainly with the progress that G2 may or may not have made. They're currently 2 in 4. They need another win next weekend if they want any chance of the winners bracket. Sky he looked good in that preseason tournament, but since then not so good until the other day where he had a big map 4 against FaZe to get the win. And obviously Kremp's been very solid. So yeah, if Skies can level up just a little bit, I think G2 can be a force. Because the thing with G2 is like, they are going to take you to game 5. That's just the type of team that they are. If they can just get a little more consistent in some of the respawns, they might be able to start winning some series 3-1, which to be fair, they did against FaZe. But kind of, not only because, but one of the reasons they beat FaZe was because FaZe gave them Kremp losses, right? Which is probably not the wisest thing if you're trying to win. I think if it was the finals of the major and they had the choice, FaZe would, and it was against G2 for some reason, FaZe would probably be getting rid of Kremplossus, right? Colossus. I keep saying it like that. But they'd probably get rid of it, because why would you play G2 on that map as their best map? FaZe wanted to play them on it, probably for practice at this stage in the season. That makes sense. But in a real series, it might have been a different story. Not like a real series is maybe unfair, but LAN, right? LAN's where things matter, and that's what Sib says in a second. Speaking of Sib, here he is, playing with Neptune against Drazah and Kremp. So they had a little 2v2 chal going on as well. Cool to see those guys in action. Now, couple of funny clips. I will share this one, although I'm not going to add any more context than that. Let's talk about the Falcons. So, Falcons played Paris the other weekend, and the key drama was, well, that Paris lost, first of all, but also the park the bus strategy in the overload. Now, look, this doesn't work on every map, probably. It's on Den, it's kind of aligned for it. On this side of Den, with the way that everything works, we talked about this strategy in depth the other day. There was some debate on whether this should be allowed or not. Debate whether it should be allowed or not is not even really a question, because you can't stop it being allowed. But you could potentially make changes to the game mode to discourage it, potentially. There was some talk about, okay, what could you do with the spawns and some of these other ideas. But the way that the game is played right now, this is a viable option on Den. If you go up in the map, you can grab the ball, run back to the base and set up a setup which is going to be difficult to counter. Now, Kismet actually said they'd done this a couple of times in scrims, but teams just said, oh, you guys are awful, like, what are you playing at? That's never going to work in a real game, we'll break it when we need to and all this. And then they did it in a match, and, well, Paris didn't break it. And maybe they need to go back to the drawing board on how to, because look, you're playing a 4v4. You, though, spawn in Narnia, whereas they spawn right there. That is obviously a help. But one of those guys has a pistol. And if you do kill him and grab the ball, you've got, you're near enough got a guaranteed dunk. At least if you wipe them off 4 dead. So it doesn't seem like it's this crazy overpowered strategy. And look, back in the day, I mean, people revere uplink. But wow, there was more cheese in uplink than there is in overload. In uplink, you might be 4 dead, but you'd get one guy who would run to the ball, bring it back, and then chuck it on top of a roof somewhere. And it would stay there for 15 seconds because of the 15-second rule thing, which was kind of a joke. And in Capture the Flag, it was the same thing back in the day. You'd pull out the flag, you'd run back to your base, you'd have like 3 of the guys set up defending the guy who's carrying the flag, and it was all very interesting and kind of tactical, and I don't mind it because it's something different, right? I think for the players, they might find it frustrating to play against a team that's parking the bus and to just run back to their spawn and is holding on to a lead. But from a fan's perspective, I think it's actually quite fascinating to watch. It's a very different thing to watch. I mean, in Search and Destroy, we know what Search and Destroy looks like, certainly in COD, where it's basically all the same. Hardpoint, everything moves every 60 seconds. Hardpoint's the best game mode. I still love watching Search. But if someone parks a bus in Overload, it gives you a very different viewer experience. Now you've got to see a team break an unbreakable setup, right? At least that's the intention of the team that's defending. I don't think it's unbreakable. But this was apparently a Pred strat. Pred called it. It makes sense, actually, that Pred would be a player that would be keen on this type of option. And as Pred gets the victory on the 16th of January, he tweeted out, GG's M82131, Dante, you still cannot beat me. And, well, Dante decided to give a response. So he wasn't a big fan of that setup. He thinks that was a coward strategy, basically. And look, you can think what you want about it. If it's effective, people will do it. And they will find ways to make it work. I think, look, there's some logic in saying, it's a pathetic strategy. You're not playing attacking cards. Like, it's doomed to fail, right? And I get that logic. But equally, if it's effective, and having that logic is maybe not the most conducive to actually finding a way to break it, right? I think that's the key thing. Gentlemates are the first to lose to this type of strategy. We may see, and I'm sort of certain we will see, other teams do it again, probably including the Falcons, and maybe against Gentlemates. It'd be very interesting to see if they did match up with a major. Right now, the way the seeding is, Falcons are near enough number 1, Gentlemates are kind of middle of the upper side of the pack, so it's pretty unlikely right now that they'll play each other around one of the major, but it's actually far from impossible. I mean, if they end up 4th and 5th seed or 3rd and 6th seed after this weekend, they'll play each other at the major, definitely possible. But they might play each other anyway, right? I'm just talking there in the first round. Definitely plausible we get another Pred versus Sib matchup in Dallas. That'd be really exciting to see what the Overload does, and it's a storyline that's emerging there already. But I think my point was, if you respect it as a strategy, then you might be more inclined to find a better way to fix it. Whereas Sib's strategy is like, look, coward strat, baby setup, terrible setup, they play like cowards, I'll see them at LAN, that's when the big dog show outs, do that again and we're gonna break it.
I've been trying to talk like Spooty.
Be a real shame if fucking Scrappy's M3 was disappeared.
Yeah.
That shit blew up.
Be a real shame if you went to the garage and the M3 was gone.
You'd be scared if the dogs disappeared.
The dogs?
Damn.
You gonna take my dogs? Be a real shame if you wake up and your fucking dick is missing, motherfucker. Be a real shame if you wake up, you look down and you fucking missing your dick, huh? Motherfuckers, be a real shame if you lost some toes.
You about to put your hands on his meat? What you
Yeah.
Nah, I'm gonna hire a guy. I know a guy.
Oh, well, it's New York.
I know a guy. No, I ain't gotta get my hands dirty. You know that.
I'm just making sure. I'm just making sure.
You wonder why we don't have sponsors on the fight, bro. You wonder why we don't have
He goes by the
sponsors.
name of JoeDeceives. He doesn't go big.
I wonder why we don't have sponsors, bro.
Yeah. Bro, you look such. I mean, it's literally the iron wall, right? Fucking, they're having the last supper.
You guys are cowards. All good though. Do that shit again. We're breaking that setup. We're breaking that shit down. I promise.
We said fortify the fucking.
We said pop the bus, baby.
We said fortify the table.
I promise. I promise I do that shit again. I'm breaking that setup.
There's fucking
That baby ass setup.
back there.
Alright,
That baby ass setup.
Table and let's clear a spot.
No bullshit. That baby ass setup. Worry about Nuke. Worry about AG later on spots. Yeah, bro. They like play like such cowards, bro. They can have it, bro. I'll see them at land, bro. I'll see them at land, bro. where the big dogs show up.
Yup, that's 4 dead on the side of Bush. Okay, and they're getting just such deep spawns.
Priest is such a pussy.
They have to spend like 25 seconds.
You guys are better.
Yeah, they gotta change the rules or something.
Yeah.
And listen, you can say
Everyone's gonna start doing that.
Yeah, I think he said people are starting to do that.
Well, I think the Falcons did it. I think that's why.
So it's all well and good saying this from the Gentlemate's perspective, but I hope that they're saying this and they're looking to back it up, right? I think they should be spending, and if they're a good team, they will have spent some time thinking about, okay, if we play against a team that does the Falcon strat on the Den or some other map, what is going to be our plan of attack? How should we approach it? How should we move as a team? Rather than just being like, oh, he's got a pistol, challenge or whatever, right? Like, I don't think that they had the best approach to try and break the park the bus setup. I think it is breakable for sure, but we'll see what teams do to get to that point. I just think from the Gentlemate's angle, it's like, yeah, okay, it might be a pussy setup, you think, it might be a coward setup, but that doesn't mean it can't be effective if you're not well positioned to capitalize. And hopefully, going into the major, we can see them pull out some sort of strategy to break it. And maybe other teams have thought about a similar thing. I wouldn't be massively surprised if after that series, some of the other teams thought, okay, if we play the Falcons and they do that to us, what are we going to do? Are we going to maybe send 3 left, 1 right, like do a bit of a bait and switch play? We know where the guy with the ball is going to be. He's going to be on that back pillar with the pistol, so we just need to kill this guy and then go from there. Do Falcons have like a set setup? Do they need to adapt their play? I don't know. I think it's all kind of fascinating, this park the bus setup, and I don't know whether it will become particularly prevalent, but I think we have seen some teams slow overloads down just a little bit over the last couple of weekends. A little bit more in line with what the Falcons have done. You take a lead, and then you just slow it down a little bit more so than you might otherwise. These have been their results, though. They lost that series to the Falcons. They were 3-1 before then, only losing, of course, to FaZe. Their upcoming games, so they're finally back to 2 matches. They played Toronto and Heretics. So, as I say, they're currently 3-2. They will need to, well, they don't probably need to 100%, but they will definitely want to win both of those series, and certainly one of those series would be enough to get them to the winners bracket. If they lose both, it's very precarious, but I don't think they will be losing both. Heretics, I know they had a bit of a comeback last week, but probably they should get the win there. Toronto is a very interesting one. Of course, they destroyed Thieves, but then they didn't have a good time last weekend. Some questions on whether that team is, best positioned as they could have been. But that's a banger game, really, and it's actually coming up tomorrow on the Friday. Gentlemates versus Toronto. Tricky one to call. Falcons only have 1 series to go. They've obviously won now 4 straight, and their final game is against Cloud9, another game where they will be favoured to win. So actually, if you look at Falcons' position, they're looking at probably, certainly very likely at this point, a 5-2 start, which would put them, it might not be enough for the number 1 seed, but if they were to 3-0 Cloud9, which is not guaranteed, but if they were to get a solid win against Cloud9, the map counts might go in their favour. They could turn up as the number 1 seed here, Falcons, after everything concludes. But it's far from clear cuts because, of course, a team like Gentlemates, they're also 3-2. So if they 3-0 their final 2 series, they'll be 5-2 with a very solid map count as well. So, yeah, still all to play for at this point, but I'm excited to see that drama continue to emerge into the upcoming season. So very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.
Who is Seth?
Seth is probably Iron Man.
You're dick riding.
I mean, who else could he possibly be?
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. Just fucking useless without his gadgets.
So useless without his fucking immense amount of wealth.
Yeah, exactly.
In brain power. Like, Seth could actually be Iron Man if you wanted to, like, right now. He could build a suit. Pretty convincing suit.
He said Riley is Jarvis.
Yeah.